Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of the Closers Podcast. I'm your host, Marco Alvarado, and as always, I am joined by Quinn, the Moondog Kalani, my co-host. Woo! Today's guest is Terrell Big Ham Tucker, or Big Ham Terrell Tucker, or Terrell Tucker, aka Big Ham. We talk about a bevy of things, including the post-George Floyd controversies such as the desecration and removal of Confederate statues, and also the goings-on in the South, which is where Terrell lives at the moment. Then we jump into some NBA talk. He's a big NBA fan, so we get his opinions on that. And then Quinn and I close out the episode with our recommendations, as always. Before we jump into the interview, please follow us on Instagram at The Closers Podcast. We have a Facebook page as well. It's at Closers Podcast. And then we have a YouTube channel. Please subscribe. We are The Closers Podcast on there. Hit the bell so you get notified whenever we post new content. Like our videos, share them with whoever you think would enjoy these episodes the most. All right, now with that out of the way, let's jump right into this. All right, guys, so here we have the guest for the week, our man, Big Ham, Terrell Tucker. What's going on, my dog?
What's shaking, my brother?
How are you?
How y'all fellas doing, man? I appreciate y'all got me back on here again.
Oh, dude,
always.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on. We always love having you on, your perspectives and everything. How was your 4th?
It was pretty good, man. I actually got a little story to tell about what had happened down here in the Atlanta area, about what happened yesterday. It made ABC, CNN,
oh dang,
all kind of news outlets.
Yeah, we'd love to hear it.
Yeah, for sure, man. But yeah, I can't wait till we kick this off and talk about whatever we need to chop up today, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm ready.
We've been trying to get you on the show for like the past month, ever since the last time we talked. A lot has happened. A lot has gone on. That we've thought, who better to talk about it with somebody who lives in Atlanta. So, I mean, everything that's happened post George Floyd, we all know, like, the basics. We both have been curious, though. What has your experience been post George Floyd?
Man, personally, it haven't been too wild. Like, I haven't encountered anything too crazy. Just seeing stuff on the news, reading stuff, articles, hearing about things, of course, on social media. But I know as far as the Atlanta area, man, things have been kicking off like crazy down here. Like, I forgot that man's name, but he ended up getting killed in the Wendy's. Wendy's parking lot.
Yeah,
down here.
I saw that video. Crazy.
Yeah, man. And after he had gotten shot, the police chief had quit, like soon right after. And then last night, I guess they're labeling Black Panthers, but there were a group of African American men and women just strapped up with bulletproof vests,
I saw that too.
Gear, guns, everything. But they were protesting.
Yeah.
And of course, they have the right to bear arms. But they were going to a region down here called Stone Mountain, which is a huge Confederate, I wouldn't say a Confederate park. It's a huge park, but the mountain itself has a huge engraving of the Confederate leaders, Jefferson Davis, Grant, people, figures like that. And a lot of people are calling for them to remove it. I'm not sure how they would do it, man. Last thing I think of, have you ever seen that old movie Richie Rich, like the actual live action one back in the day with Macaulay Culkin?
I've heard of it, but I honestly haven't watched it because I have a personal vendetta against Richie Rich as a character. So
Really?
I hate him. I've always hated him. He's just annoying to me. Like, all he has is money.
He's rich.
It's because he has money. Like, that's not cool. Like, it's That's it. That's his whole premise. Is he's a rich kid? Yeah, get out of here.
Hey, Iron Man is rich.
Yeah, but he's not a kid. Okay, I have when I was a kid, I grew up around those rich types of kids that were super fucking annoying and flaunted their wealth. I couldn't handle it. I didn't want to see that in my fiction. But I know what movie you're talking about.
Word. But there's a scene in the movie. It's like near the end. The dude has some sort of like huge laser weapon that engraves stuff into mountains. Like they were making their own like Mount Rushmore in the backyard. Like, super fucking rich. So only thing I can think of is they need one of those to take down all the Confederate engravings on the mountain. I don't know how they're gonna do it unless they just like get some dynamite or some shit and just blow it off the side of it.
Right.
But yeah, it's been pretty wild down here, man. Lots of protesting. Still dealing with the COVID thing. The governor Kemp was like one of the first guys to reopen up the state, and then as soon as that happened, there were like more cases. So you already know.
That's how it's been in California too. In regards to the everything that's happened with the protests and everything, do you think, Terrell, that it's a step in the right direction? Like, are you a supporter of the protests and everything, or do you think there's another way that could that is better?
I feel the protest is definitely a good thing to do, but there needs to be organizing within it. You know, you just can't go out there and, you know, go anywhere and just put up signs or, you know, start looting or whatever or whatnot. And I understand the people's frustration in that, saying that, you know, it's a reaction of those people's actions. But in order to tackle something like, let's say, for instance, burning down the Target or Wendy's or whatnot, and I'm not advocating violence at all, but it's like you're aiming your frustration in the wrong direction. Like, if you're going to burn something down, then I question, why not the police department? Why not courthouses?
Yeah.
Why not anywhere that there are people who are causing these injustices, you know, or not allowing these laws and policies to be changed? Like, we need to aim it at them in an intellectual way. And really, the best way to, like, take anything down nowadays is hit them in their pockets. Like, everyone is about their money. Everything is monopolized. That's the kind of system we live in. And if you want someone to change, hit them in the bank.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's funny because that's what me and Quinn were kind of talking about before we even started. When you jumped into the Zoom call, you heard us kind of talking about the Redskins and how they're going to change their name because FedEx and I believe Amazon, Nike, yeah,
and Pepsi,
they're pressuring the Washington Football Club, Washington D.C. Football Club, to change their name. So I mean, it even shows that even like other businesses are going to do it. You know, going to pressure each other into becoming more, you know, conscious. But there's been a lot of controversy that these things are just symbolic victories and no institutional change is going to happen. Do you think that these symbolic victories are positive overall, generally, and it's just beginning? Or do you think that there's going to be the people in power are just going to be like, see, we already changed the name. We knelt and had, you know, those African patterned cloths on, and we had a moment of silence for George Floyd. What more do you want us to do? Like, what do you think the response is going to be?
I would say, for one, just screaming out Black Lives Matter, tweeting it out, posting it up on social media. I don't care what corporation you are, it's not going to solve any other problems.
Right.
You know, you could be anyone and just say Black Lives Matter just to say it, so you're not pictured as the black guy not the black guy, I'm sorry, as the bad guy for being silent.
Yeah.
You know, I feel like, so if you look at the system, a lot of people, let's say, they want to change the system, systematic oppression,
right,
systematic racism. Well, it's not necessarily the system itself, it's the people who are in those power position seats who are causing these racist acts. So you have to get those people out of those seats. But then it goes deeper into how do you know for sure that that person is a racist or is a bigot?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to tell. If I'm going in for a job interview or something like that, and someone says, "Hey, do you like white people?" of course, I'm just have to say, and I do.
Yeah.
But of course, anyone could lie and be like, "Yeah, I like a black."
Oh
I
yeah,
like
of course,
people.
yeah.
But there's no way to measure or to figure out a person's intentions.
To know 100% what somebody believes. But there are definitely ways that you can see people's actions and infer what they believe based upon those actions. I think that's, history, someone's history is indicative of their beliefs, I would say, to a degree. Not 100% because people do change. But I think there is a way at least to get an indication. What do you think about that?
Say that again.
So I think that there's definitely you can get an indication of what somebody believes based upon their past history, at least in the immediate past or the actions that they take day to day. So like, sure, they may hire, if they're a person in power who owns a business, they could hire minorities to work at that business, but if they support the NRA or they constantly don't associate themselves personally with minorities or don't try to go out of their way to maybe understand those minority cultures or put themselves in positions to be exposed to that, maybe they're not racist per se, but they aren't going out of their way to try to lean into that diversity. That could be an indication of possible further prejudice. It doesn't just mean instantly they're a Nazi or something, but it's like, they do have those implicit biases in their mind.
Right.
I think it is a little easy. What were you saying, Quinn?
Well, I was gonna say it's tricky. Like certainly, past behavior is indicative of future patterns, but at the same time, you don't want to immediately condemn someone from redemption based solely on past behavior.
Oh, of course.
And I think that's something that our society is juggling a lot today.
With the whole cancel culture.
Yeah. So, basically, where do you draw the line from redeemable to irredeemable?
Right. You have to give people chances to be redeemed.
And within there lies the symbolic victories.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Whether how much meat and potatoes those are, that's it's left for history to decide. But symbolic victories are important for their inherent symbolic value. As a rallying cry, as a inspirational incentive for people to keep progressing forward, to keep fighting onward. Yeah.
So you're saying there is a place for symbolic victories then?
Yeah, there's a place for them. There's a place for them as long as people do not become complacent with symbolic victories.
Right.
So, so after what you initially set out to achieve, what are the next set of goals? Basically, what I'm saying is that the fight has to keep going on. It has to branch out. It has to build into something greater.
Right.
Which is left to be seen whether it will or it won't. Seems like it's tracking and heading that way.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, the ultimate efficacy of it is left to be decided. Probably won't be decided until long after it's done. But
so how do you feel about seeing all the monuments, all the Confederate monuments and flags being taken down and stuff like that?
It's interesting, man. Like, I remember growing up Cerulean, I'll just be straight up. I remember seeing black folk growing up rocking the Confederate flag. It wasn't often, yeah. but I remember seeing it occasionally. Do I think it should be flown in public spaces? Absolutely not. It's a traitorous It's traitorous iconography, not even from a racial aspect. It is a separatist, traitorous symbol. It's a symbol of dissent. It is anti-American inherently. In its inception, it is anti-American. That alone is enough for me to say, don't fly it. Don't fly it anywhere. Don't rock it. Does it have a place in American history? Yes. It's like in Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones, he saves these artifacts, and he's like, they belong in a museum. Well, that's how I feel about these sort of things. They're there. You can't destroy them. You can't erase them. You cannot cancel them, because its effects are systemic.
Yeah.
Everywhere you will turn and you will look, you will see the ripples of that racist time in history. And it's important that that we keep those, and we learn from them.
Yeah.
So I don't think they have a place in public places. They don't belong in the town square or outside the Dollar Tree, or in any other sort of strip mall or anything like, or any sort of strip mall. But at a museum,
mm-hmm.
Yeah. I am totally on board with that. Should there be public institutions named after known Confederates? Absolutely not.
Right.
No, I mean,
I don't agree with that either.
And even beyond the point, to me, it's 2 points. There's 2 things that work against this. There's a racist aspect, and there's a traitorous aspect.
Yeah.
We don't honor traitors. There's no, there is no honor in betraying anything. It's the whole concept of it. So, yeah, I mean, tear them down, take them down, and then put them in a place where people can learn from them.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I feel like all of those are it's gonna be a huge museum in the South somewhere, just full of Georgia, Mississippi, or Alabama.
The thing that makes me laugh about the people that oppose taking down those statues is that they act as if, like, all of a sudden, like, you're looking through a history book, and as a statue is being taken down of some Confederate leader, like, that person's name is just going to be wiped from history. Like, there's, oh my God, you're taking a statue of Abraham Lincoln down. I know he's not a Confederate leader, but, like, you're taking a statue of him down. No, where's the history? Oh my God, no. Like, it's like just like disappearing. And it's like, it's not disappearing. Like, people are still going to learn about what happened. Just because there's not a statue to memorialize that specific person doesn't mean that they're not going to be learned about, or what they did isn't going to be, like, revered in any sort of way or any sort of context.
No, yeah. To me, the more difficult discussion is when you get to monuments of the founding fathers, specifically gentlemen like Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah, I have no sympathy.
That's where like it gets muddy. For me personally, I have a position on it. But the interesting thing about the debate is, how do you quantify the sins of someone versus the achievements of someone?
Right.
So I have my own position on it, but it's an interesting discussion, I find.
My only thing that I would say is, what the founding fathers stood for is they wanted to build a society, whether, in their mind it was for white people and white men specifically. They wanted to build a society for them to be able to grow and prosper and progress. We've progressed to the point in which we're trying to encapsulate everybody in that dream, not just white men. So if you're, like, abiding by the philosophy of the founding fathers, they would be in favor of taking down monuments of people who came before you that you've progressed from, because that's exactly what they did. It's not like they allowed for statues of King George or whoever, or like British leaders to be out and about and be like, oh yeah, even though that's part of our history though, we're trying to progress from that. And that's the whole point. Doesn't mean that they didn't have good things that they did, or bad things. But we've progressed to a point in which we need to kind of get past the founding and try to move forward.
Well, there's really a tale of two Americas, right? There's America pre-World War II, America post-World War II. The idea of a master race is it's not an uncommon idea.
No, it's not uncommon.
Up to World War II. In fact, you were just talking about the intent of the Constitution was to serve white men.
Yeah.
That is essentially to build up a master class.
Mm-hmm.
Master race.
Yeah.
So, one America needs to take a good hard look in the mirror, and it has to be brutally honest with itself.
Yeah.
And then from there, draw upon those lessons, progress forward.
Yeah.
Without forgetting the past.
I agree. You gotta acknowledge where you came from, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you guys feel that there is a way that we could, I don't know, let's say, do you think people from slaves to Jim Crow era, is there a way that what has happened to those people could be like reciprocated in any sort of way, or is there a way to patch up the ugliness that happened? Or
a reparation movement? Yeah, there should definitely be a reparation movement. I don't think it should. I think reparation should be distributed amongst all minorities, and it should also be distributed amongst poor white folk who contributed in the building of this country. There's a negative stereotype amongst rednecks and hillbillies. A redneck is actually a union supporter. It's where the term comes from wearing a red bandana in support of unions. African Americans should be reimbursed for building this nation, for certainly building a sector of this nation. Asian Americans should be reimbursed for building the American West. Hispanic Americans should be reimbursed for also building the American West and continuing to build this country. I'm personally of the belief that there's a slavery caste today in this country, and it consists of Hispanic Americans and Americans who are in jail.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah.
Indigenous Americans, both mainland and islander, should be reimbursed. I think this country has a lot of debts it could pay.
I agree with that.
Across the board.
I agree with that. I just think it doesn't. Obviously, that just reparations in itself is a huge something to that's a really big ask. That's a really big something to ask for. But I think in a great way of starting that, taking steps towards reparations, is to take away the what's it called? Property taxes, how property taxes fund schools. Instead of going off of that sort of system, if we pivoted into a system where it was more schools were more funded across the board equally, because in that system, there's no perpetuation of income inequality in the sense of, or people would have a fair shot basically at education, and education is like the cornerstone of progressing your life, in my opinion. So if you have the educational tools and you have the knowledge to better your life, then you will more than likely be able to better your life. Where right now there's a lot of, most minorities, especially African Americans, are handicapped in that way. But I'm curious, Terrell, what do you think about your question? I'm curious.
On the tip of what you said about education, because education is definitely pivotal, but it's crazy how there's still places in the United States, still states that don't have like school of choice, where you can't just go to any school. You have to go to the school that's in your region or in your district.
Mm-hmm.
And you have places, of course, I swear they make Canada seem like heaven, man.
Yeah.
Like Canada has it where, of course, school of choice. So as long as you can get to the school, whether whatever transportation that you're taking, if you need to take a jetpack, if you can get there, you can go to it. So I feel like there's that. I feel like reparations is a step, but I don't feel like that's an answer. I feel like if you throw somebody $1 million who suck financially at saving money or spending money, that $1 million is going to be gone within a week.
Right.
Probably faster than that. So I think it's more so of a thing of like allocating the money and putting it, in certain programs, like how to build up certain things within the community. So let's say, for instance, with the Black community, I feel like there needs to be far more programs in coding, in tech, in STEM, engineering, stuff like that, because technology grows every single day.
Right.
So and honestly, that's where we're moving. Now, AI is eventually, like 50 years from now, AI is going to take the regular factory worker's job.
Yeah.
Sooner or later. So really, that's for anybody. But you look at the gap that African Americans and a lot of minorities have, but definitely African Americans, there's at least 200 years of staying behind, because there was a law in place where slaves couldn't read or write.
Exactly, yeah.
If you get caught reading or writing,
states,
they'll dismember you. They'll kill you.
Yeah.
Or whoop you even at.
Or like the only book that slaves could even read is the Bible. They would only give them the Bible, but then if they tried to like actually read it, then like that's a bad thing. But you could have a Bible. That's the only book that they would be allowed to own. And
and it was used as a mind altering tool.
Yeah, exactly.
You strip people of course, not only their names, but religion, to everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything. And it's crazy. But yeah, man, I feel like there just needs to be more programs. Man, it's tough, because let's say, for instance, within, let's say, the hood, how I grew up, there's a perception of, let's say you see, of course, a hustler or a dope boy or someone like that getting money, and they're getting fast money, and they're able to buy the cars and have the clothes and nice things, and to these young dudes and young women growing up, they see those things and it's like, okay, yeah, that's dope. But you can go another route and achieve things that you need to achieve, which you could go get a 9-to-5 job, but it's going to take you, 2 or 3 times as longer to get what you need to get or get to your goal.
Right.
So we got to figure out a way of changing the perception. So people can say, oh yeah, we need more lawyers, doctors, so on and so forth. But where's the example for that?
Yeah, exactly. And it's difficult for examples to be made when, African Americans make up a predominantly the people within our prisons.
Yeah.
So
I think I was just gonna say that I think both your points kind of converge nicely into education. Some of I think the best programs that could be built out of a hypothetical reparations movement would be educational programs for minorities, not only to help reshape their own self-perception and their own self-worth, but also to provide them with the sort of platform to make up that ground lost. Because being born a minority in America, particularly an African American, is like being born in a foot race, but with the starting line far behind someone else.
Yeah.
So, I would I think that's well taken. I think a reparation movement funneled into programs like education, like historically black colleges, is the most ideal, progressive, and also the most surefire way to help lift minorities up altogether.
I agree with that.
There should be also, historically Hispanic universities in my personal opinion. Why not?
Very few of them, but yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Well, it's not actually like a long story. It's just how I was at work, and a lady had actually came in and was talking about the whole thing that was going on in Stone Mountain. And she was saying like, yeah, everybody's up there strapped up with pistols and rifles, and I'm like, oh my God, what is going on? And I woke up this morning, opened my phone, and that's like, I have like a Google feed that shows just different news feeds. And that was like the first thing that popped up on my phone. So I was like, oh shit. Like seeing these guys, it's like, it's crazy, man. And then going to like Instagram, and that's the first thing I saw.
Mm-hmm.
So it's crazy, man. It's just a crazy perception of Black people when in this country, they could be outside with, you know, rifles protesting peacefully, but they're still viewed as a villain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know,
one of the first times like a weapons ban was majority approved was when the Black Panthers armed themselves and stormed the Sacramento state capitol.
Yeah.
Across the nation, it was for the first time ever, people were in mad support of weapons being banned.
Yeah, the NRA, is the NRA until Black people get weaponized.
Guns.
Yeah, and then at that point, oh no, we can't. No way. Hell no. It's ridiculous. Yeah, it's just it's so ridiculous, man. But yeah, that's crazy, the perception. And then it even ties into Joe Biden's statements like a couple months ago, where I know he's like senile and stuff, but like how he was like, he
got dementia.
yeah, he's pretty messed up right now. But
what he told Charlemagne, is that what you're referencing?
No, I was gonna that, yeah, but he also how he was like, it doesn't matter, like white kids are just as smart as poor kids. Like when he said that, you haven't seen that?
I haven't seen that.
Yeah, he was like, poor kids are just as smart as white kids. Like, what? Like, the class and race just...
I'm ready to hear the Kanye West educational plan.
Oh, my God.
Oh, didn't he put a bid in for the...
Yeah, he's saying he's going to run.
He announced, man. He announced.
It's ridiculous.
Oh, snap.
Jesus Christ. What a joke.
Like, how did we get to this point?
I hate it, man. I hate it. I
feel like we live in such a troll culture that, you actually have people vote for Harambe.
Dude, I almost think we're too big. We're almost too big of a nation. We're too big of a people.
I don't know, man.
And I think, as Americans, we live with a certain hubris.
Yeah.
We don't take things 100% seriously.
I mean, I think it's that once we start getting into the argument of like we're a little too big, I get a little nervous because a lot of people take that and they try to like push for like race states or ethno states where they're like the Black people should have their own cities and like the white people should have their own cities and the Hispanics. So like people, I usually get a little nervous when talking about that type of stuff, but I mean, I understand what you're trying to say.
I could see a lot of wrong happening with that.
Yeah.
If the country divided up, I see a lot of wrong going on for the rest of the country. I see the West Coast being fairly prosperous, to be 100% honest with you.
You don't mean being divided up along ethnic or racial lines, though, right, Quinn? You mean
I mean regionally.
Regionally.
Okay. So from the Rockies westward, its own nation.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I don't really have an opinion on that. Other than
you don't have an opinion on the California secession movement that pops up every 3 years?
No, I don't. I think it's pretty dumb in my opinion because of how much aid and funding we get from the federal government. To lose that, it's quite a bit. I know that
it's always entertaining to me, man. It's always entertaining. It's always entertaining.
And then there's those people who want to secede back into Mexico. They want to become part of Mexico again. Yeah, no, I'm good with that too. No, I'm fine with that. But yeah. Okay, so I think that kind of wraps up the whole social conversation. We'll definitely talk more about it in future episodes. I'm sure of it. But I just am curious about your thoughts on the NBA returning in the bubble late July. Your quick predictions. What do you think?
Boy, I'm glad the sports are back. Specifically the NBA, bro. I love basketball. Hot damn. I think it's going to be Lakers versus Bucks in the finals.
Really?
Because you got to think about it, man. All of these guys have had ample time to rest and heal up and do whatever they need to do. I'm not sure if all of them are in shape.
Yeah.
But we will see. But I know Bron, the man invests like $1 million into his body every year, bro.
Yeah.
So I know King James is going to wreck shop. AD,
J.R. Smith.
Since he's riding with King James, of course, I think he's going to pull up and wreck too.
But no Avery Bradley. How are they going to win with no Avery Bradley, Terrell?
They got JR, baby, the Henny guy, man. That's my boy. Henny God on deck, baby. He's coming through.
And now Dallas is without Willie Trill Cauley-Stein. How are they ever going to win either? He's sitting out too.
Wish you would have stayed, man.
I actually got to meet Willie, man. I don't have anything to say about Willie. Willie a cool dude, man.
The Vatican City.
No, he is cool. He's a beloved figure in Sacramento, even though he doesn't even play for the team anymore. People got love for Willie out here. Basically, yeah.
I was hoping y'all keep him, man.
I was too.
Or stay.
Well, kind of, in a way. But do you have any sleeper teams? Either of you guys? Because I have a sleeper team.
Who you got?
Honestly, look, I think the Portland Trail Blazers are going to be a lot better than people are expecting because during the season they were like plagued by injuries. That's why they were so low in the standings. But last year they made it to the Western Conference Finals. So Dame is kind of a god in my opinion. Like offensively, defense is one other thing. He's clutch as hell, and I think that given the right circumstance, shut up, Quinn. I think given the right, I think given the right circumstances, he definitely can. He can definitely lead that team deep into the playoffs, if not take it all. Because another prediction I have is that there's going to be not a ton, but there's going to be a lot of people getting tested positive for Corona.
Oh yeah,
and like all of a sudden, they're going to be playing like Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks.
Do you think the bench
in the playoffs
will matter more this
and then
season,
Luka's just going to get tested positive and he's out.
Recorded history.
And then so
bench
now
def.
like it's just going to swing in the other direction and Portland's going to become the favorites. Or that could happen for any team.
I mean, what are you going to do? What happens if you
I'll defer to Terrell
if
for
LeBron
that.
catches
I'm
the
curious
Rona, then all of a sudden
opinion.
J.R. Smith catches it too?
More important this season than any other season?
I mean, I'm just saying, like, is a hypothetical scenario where like 3 studs on a team all get it and go down in like in a 5-game
and
series.
AD, if all 3 of them go down.
Damn, yeah. I feel like because they're calling it the bubble, right? I feel like with the mega stars like Bron, AD, Kawhi,
Right.
those guys are gonna
they
be
can even get
like
the
have their
disease. I mean,
own
Magic
bubble
Johnson's
within a
had
bubble.
AIDS for like
Like
30
they're not
years,
gonna
and
be
he's
near
healthier than most people, so-
anybody. Like unless it's
hope
of
not.
course on the court, at least I hope.
Yeah.
I'm saying, if you got that basketball money, dog, you can afford a lot.
Oh my God. I know that's a joke, but like, Jesus Christ.
Hey man, if you got basketball money, man, you can survive anything, dog.
True. Yeah, that's true. I just think that it's going to be very entertaining, and I don't have a prediction of like who's going to take it.
Like
just
Chuck
because
Norris.
I don't think it's going to be any of the teams that we expect it to be. I really think because Corona's just going to, it's like
Rise of the Phoenix
straight,
Suns.
just like Corona's going to snipe fools out. Like,
Interesting.
yeah, you're going to think, oh, the Lakers are taking it. Then all of a sudden AD's gone. LeBron gets hurt. And then or the Sacramento Kings.
Can you guys
say are the Suns?
Can you guys
even,
explain it to me?
qualified?
I
Are they
honestly have
qualified?
no
They
idea.
technically they're playing in the
what's
bubble, but
plans are for
they
the
have
NBA
like
this season.
they're behind
Are
like
there
4
two
games, 4.5
bubbles, one in
games,
Florida,
and they only
one in
have 8 games
Chicago?
to catch up.
Or is there just going
So
to
it's
be
going to be a
one
long
bubble?
shot.
And then how many teams are going to be competing this year?
Now, for the one in Orlando, that is for all the playoff teams. But
Yeah,
they're trying to
22
make
teams.
one in Chicago for all the teams that just didn't make it this summer.
Yeah,
Uh,
so they
I,
can
bel
still play.
I believe it's going to be like a play-in tournament or something like that. Or I've heard it was either that or they're going to have some sort of like training camp, scrimmage kind of stuff.
I know the details. I can disclose. So basically, there's 22 teams in Orlando, and then the rest of the teams are going to go to Chicago in September to play just exhibition games against each other that don't matter at all. And in the Orlando bubble, which starts on July 30th, with I believe the first game is Jazz Bucks.
Pelicans. Looking at it,
Jazz
right here.
Pelicans. Yeah, that's the first game. And so what's happening in that bubble is there are the Suns, the Spurs, the Kings, the Pelicans, and
My God,
I believe
you're losing
let
me
me
as a
see.
casual
I'll just look it
basketball
up because
fan.
there's more
just
West
sounds
teams than
complicated.
East teams because
Mhm.
in that bubble because only the Wizards really have a chance to go. How? Well, I mean, okay, like obviously the details are a little more complicated because it's a complicated situation, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be complicated in execution. Literally, all it is there's 22 teams. All of them are either in the playoffs or have a slight chance, medium to slight chance to get into the playoffs. Okay? If you are within, I believe, if you're within.
Is it 6? 4 to 6?
Is it 4 to 6? If you're the 9th seed and you're within four games of the 8th seed, then you have a play-in like a little series where in which the 8th seed just has to win one time and they're in the playoffs. The 9th seed has to win twice in order to get into the playoffs. So it's a slight play-in tournament that could happen. A play-in series, really, that could happen for that 8th seed. To give those other teams,
For some reason, I
chance
keep
to
thinking
qualify
that we're starting
for
the
the playoffs.
NBA season.
That's really
compared
it.
to finishing
And at
it.
that point, then it becomes a best of 7 in every series. It's a normal thing, except no home court advantage. And that's it. Oh yeah, no.
Yeah.
And the thing is, there's only 8 games of the season left.
Do you
And
think the
schedules
coronavirus
have
will
already been
hurt
unveiled.
basketball's brand more so than other sports?
So that's like how it's happening, and
No.
So I
Definitely
mean,
not as much as
we'll
baseball,
see how it goes.
right?
But I'm excited to just see basketball again. No, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
They've handled it very well, in my opinion. And honestly, around the world, once the NBA shut down, everyone was like, "Oh, this is serious," which kind of shows just how big the NBA and basketball has become globally and in America. It kind of was the first domino that fell in the coronavirus, pandemic situation that we see today. So even people that weren't fans of NBA, once it happened, with that they
This is the
ended
death
their
of
season,
baseball. This is quite literally the
became
death
serious
of
for
baseball.
everybody. So it was pretty interesting. I think it kind of more so has helped
man.
them, especially
I
because
don't think people
baseball's
are going to go
failed
back
in
to
every
baseball
way
the same way
possible
they did.
to come back.
I think this is a crushing blow.
They are coming back, but I don't think people are going to really care if the NBA is back. Then
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that headline.
yeah.
So let me
I
ask
agree.
you guys this. Giannis
Uh-huh.
said that this year, this ring is going to be the toughest
Well,
ring to
I
get.
won't speak from
Did Giannis
a
say that?
basketball perspective, but from a other sports
Wow.
perspective.
Do you
I've
feel
seen
that way
interviews
that
with athletes saying
this
that
ring is going to be the
preparation
hardest
and
one to
training
get?
due to social distancing and social isolation has made it infinitely more difficult. So I imagine, that translates across all sports. I think so, man. I think so. I think it will make it more difficult. You don't know how people have been training. We're going to find out. That's the great thing about sports. Oh, we're going to find out who's been working and who ain't been working. And, yeah, this is like a real test. This is a real test of the commitment outside of the mandatory for these athletes. This is going to separate, the boys from men, in my opinion.
I think it's going to put more of a focus on the fundamentals and technique, because I think there's a lot of most basketball players are going to be either just straight up out of shape or not in the shape that they would have been entering a regular NBA season. And that's not their fault. That's just the circumstances. So what do they have to fall back on? The fundamentals, the basics, and their craftiness as just basketball players. Players. The skills that are involved in that.
Expect Kyle Korver to go ham for the rest of the remainder of this season.
Or your lateral movement
if we're talking,
to get around guys.
If we're talking fundamentals, or
you're
expect my
guys
man
who
Kyle
have
Korver
handles
to Korver
who are
up
just
the court,
crafty.
bruh.
They're going to succeed.
I honestly have no idea if he's even still in the league.
Is he even playing?
Last I heard, he was playing for Atlanta. That was a long time ago.
Is he on the Utah? Is he on Utah?
Oh, if he's playing for the Bucks, Kyle Korver's going to get that Finals
Bucks.
MVP. Best believe. That's my bold prediction. Bold prediction.
Yeah,
Kyle Korver,
he's on
Finals
Milwaukee.
MVP.
He's on Milwaukee.
Oh, he's on the Bucks? Okay.
Dude, he's going to hit that Steve Kerr game winner. Guarantee it. And it's going to validate He's going to pull Kyle
up with
Korver's
the Dame Dollar
career.
hit. Like, yeah.
I think that was John Paxson, but yeah. My bold
the greatest
prediction,
shooter of all time.
Because I don't think that the Portland prediction is really bold. So I'll just go bold and say that Ja Morant is going to lead the Memphis Grizzlies to the NBA Finals, and because they're a young team. I think young teams are gonna just be able to kind of outpace the older teams, and at that point, I think Ja Morant is the most athletic rookie we have. I'm sorry, RJ, and I'm sorry, Zion, but I just think it's true. At this point, I think he's the most
Ja
athletic,
Morant versus Kyle Korver
in
for
terms
Finals
of at
MVP.
least stamina. So I think he's going to lead them, and he's going to become Finals MVP. What a crazy playoffs that would be. I bet you guys would be happy about that. The Bucks and Grizzlies. What a finals. What about you, Terrell? What's your hot prediction?
Man, I feel like the Zion train is coming, man. Like, dude has had time to rest, dog. And for one, of course, I'm looking at the schedule now. It's Jazz versus Pelicans first game.
Yeah.
Boy, like the first game of the season, the first time they played against each other, Zion was
Viking
manhandling Rudy Gobert.
Nice.
Like, bro, Zion is a man.
Yeah.
He is a whole ass Viking out here, bro. Like, he's a Viking, bro. Like, he's a Viking mixed with a Greek god mixed with Black Panther. I never seen a dude with that much weight, dog, move like that. That is scary.
He's the dancing bear.
You know that bear off of Tekken?
Yo, I'm glad you said that,
he's
Terrell.
that bear, bro.
I'm glad you
The
said
what bear?
that.
The bear off of Tekken.
I didn't know where you were going with Dancing Bear, dog.
He can morph into a panda bear. He got different skins,
I've heard of it.
Dang, baby.
I just didn't think it really applied.
What? You never heard that saying for just
It
a
was
big
just
dude
obscure.
light on his feet?
He's a dancing
Really?
bear.
No.
Yeah, that's a pretty common. He's very light on his feet, dude. Okay, I can see how that sounded probably weird to people who don't know about the saying, but it's very common. A lot of NBA players that are bigger that are light on their feet are called dancing bears.
For you non-carnival folk,
for the
that's a
Boston
bear riding a
Celtics, or,
unicycle.
Chris, what's his name? Chris Anderson, the Birdman. He was also perceived as a dancing bear because he was a huge guy, moved pretty quick. Yeah. Yes,
Bear
it is.
man.
I'm a carny at heart. What can I say? But it's going to be a very interesting NBA season, and we definitely will have you back on, Terrell, throughout
Thank you,
this
brother.
NBA season once it starts, to give your opinions and chime in on the discourse. We would love to have you back, man. But thank you for coming onto the show, and we will definitely have you on soon.
For sure. For sure, guys. For sure. And definitely ready for the next time we link up.
Oh, yeah, man. It's going to be fun. Maybe a Hall of Fame worthy, wink, wink, just to give you a little bit of a tease right there. What do I mean? You'll have to follow the Instagram account to find out more. At the Closers Podcast is where we're at on Instagram, on Facebook at Closers Podcast. Like our page, and on YouTube. Please subscribe, like this video, share it around if you so please. Next up, we got me and Quinn's weekly recommendations, so stay tuned for that. Thank you again, Terrell.
For sure, bros.
All right, hope you enjoyed that conversation with my man Big Ham, Terrell Tucker. He is also in the works of developing his own podcast. More will be talked about in the future, but just wanted to drop that little nugget of suspense
Sure,
for you guys.
My
right
first
now
recommendation
is our time to tell you
this week
what we recommend
is one of the seminal mixtapes.
Quinn, would you like to go first, or do you defer?
The hip hop genre. I believe it was 2009, if I'm not mistaken. Lil Wayne, Wheezy F Baby, and the F stands for So Ferocious. His mixtape, No Ceilings, which, in my humble opinion, is one of the top 3 greatest mixtapes of all time. Its consistency across the board. Let me put it to you this way for the uninitiated. Lil Wayne takes your best rap song of that year and makes it infinitely better.
Okay.
He pretty much takes the instrumental of your favorite rap song, whether it be Ice Cream Paint Job, Run the World, Swag Surfing.
What do you mean?
Wash My Shoes. He takes the best rap song of that year and makes it better. Essentially, he takes the instrumental and he adds his poetry over it. Flawless mixtape
Of 2009. Okay.
Consistent work from top to bottom.
Okay.
Yeah.
He remixes it.
2009. Okay. You could sum up 2009 as a whole with No Ceilings by Lil Wayne. It is the peak of Lil Wayne insanity, man. Was the 2009-2010 from Carter 3 to Carter 4.
Interesting.
That time period, which was filled in with No Ceilings. Lil Wayne was at the
that's crazy that
at his height of popularity.
Yeah. Yeah.
I will say some of his more
to
later
check it out.
LPs,
Thank you for
some
that
of his
recommendation.
later
I'll
work
definitely check it out as
hasn't
well.
rang
No,
as true with
I'm
me
admittedly
as
not
some
the
of his
biggest
more
Lil Wayne fan,
the
not because I don't like
aughts.
him. I've never really listened to any
Is
of
that
his
what
music.
that decade is called? The aughts from 2000 to 2010. And from 2000 and 2010, you see the journey of Lil Wayne, and he's kind of, it's disrespectful to say plateaued, but he hasn't done anything that has stood out to me in a long time. It's like consistently at that level where he once was at of Carter 3 and No Ceilings. So No Ceilings, the mixtape, which you can find, just Google it, YouTube, wherever, and yeah, and listen to it en masse. Yeah, that's my first recommendation. Marco, what is your first recommendation of the week?
It's probably on Spotify and Apple Music as well. I'm going to pivot off of yours, and I'll do my music recommendation first. We'll just get the music out of the way. One of my favorite bands from high school that I used to listen to a lot my junior year and senior year of high school, Tiger's Jaw. No, not Hoobastank. Tiger's Jaw. The emo folk turned indie rock outfit has released a new single from, I believe, Hopeless Records, that they now signed to Hopeless Records, and they released a single called Warn Me. It can be found anywhere that you listen to music, and it is a very catchy, upbeat song, very, very reminiscent of their 2017 or 2016 album Spin. And it's just a very straightforward pop track, pop indie rock song, very upbeat. I've been trying to listen to more of that type of stuff recently because I can so easily drift into just this very pessimistic, very nihilistic type of music avenue that I kind of stay in. So I'm trying to break myself out of that, and this song has definitely pushed me in a more upbeat, positive, poppy direction, even though the song itself is pretty sad, like the words, which we love those types of songs on the Closers podcast. Lyrically, a little down, musically, a little up. So if you're interested in that, definitely check out their
I meet your volley
single,
with my second recommendation.
Tiger's Jaw.
It is
That's
a
my
book.
second
It's
recommendation.
an autobiography.
I know.
I'll hold it up for you here. It's called
Parry that
Insanity,
back.
My
It's
Mad
Quinn.
Life, written by Charles Bronson, known today as Charles Salvador, born Mickey Peterson. There's a film done about this man, late 2000s, by Nicholas Winding Refn, starring Tom Hardy, that some people may have seen. But basically, this autobiography is about Charles Bronson. Charles Bronson is probably the most renowned inmate in British history. He spent most of his adult life in solitary confinement and bouncing around various prisons, hostage situations, riots, underground boxing. He's lived a very wild and detailed life, and yet has managed to produce some amazing art as well, whether it be drawing, painting, maybe even a little sculpting.
Very stressful
some of which
life.
is sampled in this autobiography. I'm a big fan of endurance, of people who of how that's tested in extreme ways, and for a man who's spent the majority of his adult life, I would estimate at least 30 years in solitary confinement. That's an incredible test of one's mental and physical and spiritual endurance. And this book is a testament to that. So if you're a fan of the human spirit, then I highly recommend Insanity, My Mad Life by Charlie Bronson. And then Marco. Yeah, still alive today. Still kicking. I believe he's still incarcerated too. Yeah.
Very interesting.
Various things, man, from muggings
Wow.
to robberies. Kind of
What did he
petty
do?
stuff. Not stuff that would typically warrant, such harsh punishment. But
Shit.
once he got incarcerated, he became known as Britain's most violent prisoner for the number of inciting incidents at his hands.
That's crazy.
Within the prison system. So,
oh wow.
The movie is also called Bronson. It's an indie movie, incredibly well made. I think this was done after Drive.
What's the movie that?
Yeah, the same guy who directed Drive and another movie starring Ryan Gosling that took place in Thailand that was super metal that I can't remember the name of right now.
Oh, is it that director?
But it's an amazing book. It's a tale of triumph.
I love Drive.
I find it's called Insanity: My Mad Life by Charles Bronson, not to be confused with the actor that your father is familiar with, but Charles Bronson.
What's it called again?
And then Marco, your second recommendation, if you would, please. Yeah, so to finish off our recommendation segment and to finish off the episode, I recommend a video game that came out, I believe, in like 2016. It's been a minute, but I just got around to playing it because I got it for free on the PlayStation Store because I'm a cheap bastard like that. It is Mafia 3. So this video game is very, very... it's very... I don't know what the best description to say. It's very shallow. It's a very shallow video game. It kind of builds... In the beginning, it builds it up to where it's going to be this very cinematic game, this very narrative-driven game, and it really falls short of that a little bit. It's a very shallow game, like I said. It just revolves around you. You're an African-American, a veteran from Vietnam in the 1960s, and your family gets killed, so you're trying to avenge them, right? And kill the people that killed them. And by doing that, or to do that, you amass, like, you become kind of like the kingpin of this mafia organization in the South, which they call it New Bordeaux, but it's really basically Louisiana, New Orleans. They pattern it after that city. So you go around and you have to take over districts of the city in order to snuff out the people who killed your family. And it's a very, at a certain point, a mindless game. Like, you go around, you have to eliminate certain people. You have to do missions to, like, interrogate somebody, or you have to destroy somebody's property. You have to destroy a certain gang's, heroin facility or stuff like that. And it's one of those games where you can just kind of turn your brain off and just go here, kill this guy, go here, steal this, go here, save this person, go here, drive this boat to this place. Okay. Like, it's very just monkey see, monkey do. But I like those types of games because it's a great game that you could just put on a podcast. You could listen to music and just, you don't have to hear, it's not very immersive. You very much know you're playing a video game, and I prefer those types of games because I'm a very multitask type of person. So a game that I could play podcast or listen to podcasts while playing is one that I really like. So if you're looking for that immersive story narrative driven game, this is not for you. It falls very short of that. But if you're trying to find something that you can kind of turn your brain off and have fun with, and it's free on the Play Store,
types
right?
of media at the same time with, this is your game for sure. Mafia 3 came out on October 7th, 2016, almost 4 years ago. So it's been out for a minute, but it was free on the Play Store when I got it. I'm trying to see right now if it is, like, what the price of it is at the moment. I'm looking that up right now, and it wants to take forever. It is currently It won't tell me.
That's
the price.
interesting.
Why
I always
you
found
just
it
tell me the price?
interesting
Come
that
on. I'm so sorry.
that
Let me see.
that
Hold
the
on.
term mafia has branched out of its New York, not origin, but in
Yeah.
American sense.
Yeah, it's
from its
free right now.
geographical placement into other parts. So you have you would almost think that different ethnic groups would have different words for mafia.
Yeah, it is,
but not
interesting, yeah.
necessarily, right? It's one of those words that's permeated
Yeah.
across cultures.
Right.
Right. But you have
Yeah, it
you have
seems
the
that way.
Irish mafia.
It's a word that kind of everybody
Yeah,
kind of
I
knows. I mean,
imagine
there's
if it's
the
you have a
cartel
New
and,
Orleans-esque
Mexico
mafia.
and stuff in Southern
I don't know what they'd
America,
be
but
called, but
generally, yeah.
the Cajun mafia.
Yeah, that's like the mafia anywhere. Yeah. Right now it's $30. Yeah. Right now it's $30 on the PlayStation Store, but I mean, you could wait for it to become free again. It was the PlayStation Game of the Month at some point, so
Escapism, man.
they just gave it to me for free because of that. And I just haven't played it, but I'm playing through it now. It's entertaining enough, and a great game to just kind of turn your mind off and distract you for a minute. So that's my recommendation. Escapism is great, man. I mean, it's great, but like I said on closing out the week, too much of a good thing becomes a bad thing, and can't escape too much, because at that point you become dependent on that. That's bad in itself. But I think with that, we'll bid you an adieu. So please follow us at the Closers Podcast on Instagram, at Closers Podcast on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click like, please. Hit the bell, and share the video if you so choose to. We would very much appreciate it. I know that, I'll be back on Friday to close out your week in style. We're recording this a little early, so it kind of threw me off for a second. But also, if you haven't already, check out Hang 10 with Quinn Kalani. That episode came out on Monday.
Nope, nothing in particularly. Like the man said, on Monday we'll have a new episode of
but like I said,
Hang
please
10
follow us on our
for you,
social
some
medias.
breakfast in
And
bed.
Quinn, do you have
it's a light
any
scramble.
last words you'd like to say?
As always, we like breakfast around here. And yeah, Closers Podcast every Wednesday, closing out the week. Your weekly summation, your fortnight paraphrase with yours truly, Marco. So make sure you guys check that out wherever you can.
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, definitely check it out. And we'll be back at you on Friday. Another Closers Podcast on next Wednesday, and closing up the week on Monday. So you guys have a great rest of your week. Take care.